Welcome back to week number 2. Today we're going to unpack the essential role of protein in your nutrition plan. It's a bit of a buzzword recently, but at the same time, it serves a really important function. So this is not about counting macros or strict rules. It's about helping your body feel satisfied, maintain your strength, and actually support fat loss. The goal here is understanding why protein is the foundation of your nutrition structure that we're building in Momentum. So, number 1, protein can actually affect your appetite hormones. So research shows that higher protein meals increase circulating levels of hormones like GLP-1 and PYY, which help signal fullness, and reduce ghrelin, the hormone that signals hunger. So this image has a little more detail than you necessarily need, but I've shown you here, ghrelin actually goes and signals these hormones so that you actually increase hunger. Whereas GLP-1, cholecystokinin, PYY, and insulin all inhibit that. Whereas leptin, which is commonly produced in fat cells, actually can increase satiety. So just a quick little overview of what some of these hormones are, where they come from, and some of their functions. So number 2, let's see. So I wanted to go over this a bit more. Studies have actually documented that protein intake increases these satiety-focused hormones compared with lower protein meals, which contributes to more stable appetite control throughout the day. So I even had some former clients that went through this and they said, just by increasing my protein, I ended up feeling A, more satisfied, and B, actually craving fruits and veggies more than I thought I would, which is an interesting side effect there, but just something to think about. So when we are thinking about this, when it comes to your long-term success, we want to think about protein and how it preserves your lean mass. You don't want to do all this work to, improve your body composition and lean out and just lose all of the muscle mass that you've worked hard for. So this is another reason that we want to increase protein. We don't want your body to break down your muscle if you're losing weight. And that's also another reason that we don't want your calorie intake to be too low, is because you end up having your body break down muscle mass in order to supply that energy. It has to come from somewhere. So if you look in your go-to meal guide, these are a couple of examples of what your plate could look like to help provide adequate protein and enough volume in the form of those non-starchy veggies and maybe fruits, and still help you with that balance for the satiety. So we also top that with healthy fats. Now, the size of the plate for my 250-pound guys, that's going to be a lot bigger than my, little 120-pound girls. Like, the size of the plate is going to be different. That's going to impact the calorie level, but that doesn't change the fact that we all need these nutrients. We all need the variety, and we need an adequate amount of protein for our body size. So when people actually reduce calories without prioritizing protein, they're more likely to lose muscle alongside fat. And prioritizing protein protects that tissue, which supports our metabolism. We talked about that BMR, and your actual functional strength, especially when you combine that with the resistance training. So I have quickly summarized it here, because we're talking about this last piece where protein supports real-world meal satisfaction. So A, protein digests a little more slowly than carbohydrates, meaning you feel satisfied for longer after eating protein-focused meals. That also helps reduce our midday and evening cravings that kind of undermine our consistency. But beyond that, we talked about the thermic effect of food in the first week. So protein has a higher thermic effect of food, meaning it takes a little more energy to break protein down versus the other macronutrients, which are carbohydrate and fat. So if you look in your go-to meal guide, I have it set up for you. I have a sample grocery list where you can look at some of the foods that might be in this protein category, as well as some of our other categories, higher fiber, carbohydrates, fats, those kind of things. But it has a serving size for each of these foods that will hit 30 grams and your estimated calories. Now, all food is made up of one or more macronutrients. So those Foods that have a lot higher fat or carbohydrate along with the protein will just be a little bit higher calorie for that size. That doesn't mean they're a bad choice for this, but just keep that in mind. Edamame also has plenty of fiber, plenty of carbohydrate, so it's going to be a little bit higher than just straight up, shrimp, or in this case, a lean beef. Well, let's say a chicken breast. Well, you can see here. You can kind of explore this. It's kind of fun when you actually start to dig into those numbers, but we'll get into more detail later. So think of protein as your satiety anchor at every meal. For breakfast, eggs or Greek yogurt are easy. For lunch, grilled chicken, maybe a salad. You can have beans and add it with the veggies. For dinner, salmon. Quinoa is a high protein grain. And each choice really just gives you a little dose of protein that supports fullness and energy. So for most of us, that'll be around 20 or so grams, maybe 30, maybe 40 for people who are really trying to up that, depending on your body size. So protein, it's not a trend. It's just physiology. It helps us manage hunger hormones. It helps us preserve muscle, and it really just helps keep that energy stable. So take a look at that protein list, take a look at your grocery list, see if there are things that you want to add in here.